"So, you think you're smart?" Then translate, the director laughed at the janitor, but then. It was just another Monday morning at the headquarters of one of New York City's most prestigious multinational firms. Men in crisp suits marched through polished marble floors, clutching overpriced coffees, while assistants flitted about with agendas and deadlines. Amid the daily chaos, old Benjamin mopped the floors with quiet precision. His faded janitor uniform, graying hair, and worn-out sneakers made him nearly invisible to most, just another fixture of the building, like the water cooler or the elevator chime. But Benjamin was no ordinary janitor. Each morning, he'd arrive early, 2 hours before anyone else. He'd sweep the lobby, hum old jazz tunes, and sometimes whisper foreign words to himself as he cleaned, his thick Caribbean accent curling around unexpected phrases in French, German, even Japanese. Most people paid no attention. Who cared if the janitor talked to himself? Everyone, that is, except Maya, an ambitious young marketing intern who'd taken the time to learn his name and share the occasional coffee. She found his quiet presence comforting in a world that often felt like a rat race. "You speak all those languages?" she'd asked once, amazed, after overhearing him mutter something that sounded like fluent Russian. Benjamin had only smiled and shrugged. "I read a lot," he said simply. No one believed her when she told them about his linguistic talents. "Come on," scoffed Todd, the slick-haired director of international business. The janitor? Fluency in 5 languages? Please. The man barely speaks English. It wasn't just disbelief. It was mockery. In Todd's world, credentials and business degrees earned respect, not age or quiet wisdom. One Tuesday, fate decided it was time for the truth. An emergency had erupted. A high-stakes negotiation with an international partner from South Korea was falling apart. The interpreter scheduled for the meeting had called in sick, and no backup could be found on such short notice. Panic spread like wildfire through the upper floors. "This deal is worth millions," barked Todd, pacing in the boardroom. "We can't reschedule. We need someone who speaks Korean, now." An awkward silence followed. Then Maya, hesitant but hopeful, spoke up. "I think Benjamin, the janitor, might help." Todd scoffed, throwing his hands up. "Oh, this should be rich. Bring him in. Let's all have a laugh while the company goes down the drain." Within minutes, Benjamin stood in the glass-walled boardroom, mop still in hand, flanked by suits and skeptics. "So," Todd said, leaning back with theatrical arrogance, "you think you're smart?" Then translate. The Korean executive across the table looked confused, clearly growing impatient. Benjamin glanced at him, then nodded politely and spoke in fluid, respectful Korean. The room went silent. The executive's face lit up with surprise. And then relief. He answered rapidly. Benjamin responded just as quickly, his expression calm but focused. 10 minutes passed. Then 20. Benjamin never once hesitated. The executives laughed, clinked glasses, and signed the deal that had seemed doomed just hours before. At the end, the Korean businessman rose and bowed deeply to Benjamin, who returned the gesture. Silence fell over the room as Benjamin quietly picked up his mop and turned to leave. "Wait," the executive said through a translator who had finally arrived. "Who is he?" "He is brilliant." Maya smiled, while Todd stood there, mouth open, his ego crumbling faster than the company's stocks would have if not for Benjamin. Later that day, the CEO summoned Benjamin to his office. "Why didn't you ever tell us?" he asked, genuinely puzzled. Benjamin chuckled softly. "No one ever asked." He explained that he had been a university professor in his home country, fluent in 8 languages and a scholar of literature and culture. But after fleeing political violence and losing his family, he came to America with nothing but hope and an old dictionary in his suitcase. He'd taken the janitor job to survive, never thinking it would lead him back to a place where his mind was valued again. Word spread through the company like wildfire. The next morning, Benjamin didn't mop the floors. He sat in a suit, beside the CEO, as the company's new director of cultural relations, a role created just for him. His job, to help teams connect with global clients through empathy, language, and understanding. He even started a lunchtime language circle, open to everyone. Maya was the first to sign up. But perhaps the most surprising change happened in Todd. Shamed by his own arrogance, he approached Benjamin weeks later, not to apologize, not exactly, but to ask if he could join the Korean class. Benjamin welcomed him with a warm smile and a handshake. Over time, Benjamin's story rippled far beyond the office. It made headlines, inspired blogs, and sparked conversations about the quiet brilliance we often overlook in those we think are beneath us. He was invited to speak at conferences, schools, and cultural events. But he never let the fame go to his head. Kindness, he would often say during his talks, is the one language we all understand. And sometimes, all someone needs is for you to ask who they really are. And perhaps that is the heart of this story, the realization that everyone, no matter their job title, carries a universe within them. That titles mean little in the face of compassion, respect, and open-mindedness. That wisdom can wear janitor's boots just as easily as it wears Italian leather shoes. So, the next time someone assumes they know your worth based on what you wear or where you work, remember Benjamin. And the next time you meet someone who seems invisible, remember to look again. Because brilliance, kindness, and dignity don't shout. They mop the floors before sunrise. And sometimes, they save the day.